Go. Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of Dylan Knows, episode 660, Espresso Keg. I need an espresso keg because I am just feeling tired today and all kinds of bleh. It's 11:10 p.m. here on May 16th, 2026, Reisterstown, Maryland. The Preakness, the second leg of the Triple Crown, happened today, but not at Pimlico and in Laurel down closer to Washington. So I could care less, and no one was as excited about the Preakness as they usually are around this time. It's just been kind of a shitty kind of day right now, but this week was the NFL schedule release, so we got the NFL schedule, and it's interesting. They've got some really good games for Thanksgiving and Christmas, and we'll see how that all works out. And then the Ravens schedule I'm okay with. There are a few questions about some things, so we'll see what happens. And it's always fun to speculate now before the season starts. Also, this week, a lot of Pepsi products getting overseas tests, but none here in the United States. So I'll let you know that they are. A bunch of films and TV shows finished production. A bunch. Jesus. Skip, yes. Stupid stuff. A bunch of film and TV productions started production. A bunch of TV and film productions ended production. And some changes in release dates. And some video game movies coming out next year. 2027 appears to be the year of the video game film because we're going to get a lot of video game movies next year, which is interesting. And anything else really exciting jumping out at me? No, not really. Weird Al Yankovic is in the news. A bunch of shark movies. Kate Beckinsale makes a return after a while. Tom Cruise makes an appearance. Whoops. I got to. These are one. There we go. Some kind of upsetting news about the Voltron live action film. Chris Pine returns to a role that people are dying for him to see him in. The Little House on the Prairie gets a first look, and it actually looks interesting. And of course, all kinds of other BS we're looking at here, including the aforementioned Espresso Keg, which I could use right now because I am extraordinarily exhausted right now. It was just been a long week at work. I had a project helping out on a project that's almost done, and not getting any credit from it from some members of the office. In fact, one of them came down on Friday and thanked everybody but me for helping out. He hasn't been too happy with me for a while after I've called him out for a lot of mistakes he's making with my DOC stuff. And then when the co-owner's company came down, didn't talk to me either, but talked to the others. But then he thanked me when I dropped off my numbers. So we'll see. Kind of a shitty way to end Friday, because that all happened on Friday. I felt that I was not getting the appropriate. I do my job, but you're thanking everybody else and you're not thanking me. And I'm actually doing a lot of work also. I'm not just standing around doing nothing. I'm doing as much work as they are. That might not seem like it. I mean, I'm putting stickers on the boxes. I'm taping them up. I'm stacking them on the skids. I'm keeping track of how many we do. And then I have to scan them also. And that's fucked up my wrist. I had a wrist issue from when I first started working back in 95 that was dormant for a while. And now it's fucking painful as hell. It's hard to drive on the steering wheel, holding the steering wheel that way. It's hard holding my video game consoles with that. So that's wonderful. And yet I don't get any, hey, thanks for doing a good job from one of the main people involved with it. And then I find out late yesterday that my son actually, after I asked him, what do you got going this weekend? He said nothing. Actually did have a scout thing I had to figure out where it was and take him to it and how to pick him up and how we're going to all do that because my wife is out camping right now. And neither she nor he told me about this. So I had no idea what was going on. So I had to work that out. So I rearranged my schedule a little bit more. So it's just been kind of a blessed Saturday. Went by really, really fast. And now I'm frozen. There we go. This computer's old and needs to be taken care of. Ugh. And just so much going on. It's just the weight of it just keeps getting heavier and heavier with just everything, and it's just getting real shitty. Some good news though. My daughter will be finishing up her. She has finished up her first year of college. We'll be picking her up tomorrow to bring her home for the summer before she starts her sophomore year in August. She will then also start. She's going to take a mini vacation with some friends of hers, and then she'll be working with me at my job starting on June 1st. So that'll be fun to have her doing that so she makes some money. And it's bad though because now I can't do my July 4th week off when nobody's in the house but me, because she would be in the house with me, plus I would have to take her to my work now. So that's out of the loop. So I'm kind of depressed about that. And it's going to get fucking hot again because Maryland can't decide what season it wants to be. We had some spring-like weather, like early spring-like weather, like 47-degree lows lately with some 67-degree highs. We're looking at 85 tomorrow, 92 Monday, 92 Tuesday, 88 Wednesday. Then we get back to 65, 61, 63, 68, and 78 going into Memorial Day weekend, which is coming up next weekend. Since Memorial Day weekend is coming up next weekend, I should be able to do some other shows. I tend to do that when I have a long weekend. I have a little more time to do stuff, so I'll probably do some more list show stuff. But yes, my daughter will be coming home. My wrist is fucked up. My wife's camping. The neighbors took my spot, even though there were 2-3 spots open that nobody was in. They took my spot, and I have to move my car when my wife gets here. She's got to unload her camping gear, and then we got to load up my daughter and unload it there. So they took our spot, and then they'll probably fill their spots too. So I'm pissed about that as well. And then a kind of a weird, funny sort of thing happened to me on Wednesday. As I was telling you, I've been putting stickers on these boxes. They're stickers of names of people whose orders are in the box. And one of the names on there, one of the boxes I did was the name of my ex-girlfriend, her married name. Now, I know that wasn't her because this is a New York City project. She lives in Virginia. So that wasn't her, but it was her name. So somebody has her name, but that's not unusual. There are multiple people that have my name, Dylan Lang. So it was just weird seeing her name on one of these lists because literally the next day, that Thursday, was her birthday. So just kind of a weird sort of synchronous sort of thing. It was just wild. Napoleon Solo won the Preakness. No big freaking deal because, as seems to be the case, the one that wins the Kentucky Derby skips the Preakness and then runs in the Belmont now. They obviously don't care about Triple Crowns anymore. They just care about, I guess, they'd rather have a month in between because these horse races, their horses need to rest a little bit. 2-week window is not enough for the horse to rest. Rather take a month because the Preakness will not be till the first weekend in June. So it'll give them a couple weeks to rest up. So that's kind of sucks a little bit that happened. And it was in Laurel and nobody really gave a fuck about it here in Maryland. So there was a party at the Horse Museum on Main Street, but it didn't look all that packed when I went by there about 2 hours before the race happened. So anything can happen, though. Pixar's Gato, next year's Pixar film, which will be the first one they do that is not computer generated but hand drawn, has found their voice. Gato will be voiced by Mark Ruffalo, which could be really interesting. He's got that specific sort of voice and a very warm, soothing kind of voice coming from that cat would be kind of cool. There is a new streaming service called Turnster Plus. It's debuting in the fall, and its first original film is called A Good Hand Wasted with Terrence Howard. So I don't know much about that, but there is a new streamer coming. Christos Fernandez, who played Danny Rojas on Ted Lasso, has actually gotten a job working for the El Paso Loco football team. So he's actually going to be playing football. Football is life. Arizona and 7-Eleven seem to have this relationship because a lot of Arizona exclusives ending up at 7-Eleven. I had a couple of them a couple weeks ago. I did on the show. There's a new one coming out called Slurpee, Blue Raspberry Slurpee, which would be a fruit juice cocktail. So I'll have to go try that one out. Sounds delicious. So I went to the closer 7-Eleven to me. They didn't have any of the Arizonas. So I have to go to the one up in Westminster that had everything. So we'll see about that. Pepsi will be dropping an exclusive Pokemon Pepsi bottles in Japan and only in Japan. Russell Crowe is set to star in The Last Druid with Rose Leslie, Andreas Pitchman, and Daniel Zuvato. The NFL schedule came out, and Aaron Rodgers has re-signed with the Pittsburgh Steelers for 1 year. The Ravens have 4 national games, 2 Thursday night games, one of which is on New Year's Eve against the Bengals in Cincinnati, and one at home against the Jaguars. They have a Sunday night game against the Falcons in Atlanta, and we have a Monday night game in Baltimore against the Chargers. So that's our national games. We don't have any holiday games for New Year's Eve. They have done it. Thanksgiving week is now NFL week because they have the first ever Thanksgiving Eve game. Okay, so where is the schedule? Here we go. So Thanksgiving Eve will feature the Packers versus the Rams, 8 p.m. on Netflix. Thanksgiving will have the Lions, as always, hosting the Bears. The Cowboys, as usual, hosting the Eagles. And the Chiefs and the Bills hosting the Chiefs will be the Thanksgiving night game. And then Black Friday, we have the Broncos that have the Pittsburgh Steelers hosting the Broncos. So it's a pretty interesting slate for New Year or for Thanksgiving. So excited about that. The Ravens will be playing that Sunday, so that's fine. We're not playing on Thanksgiving, but I kind of wish we were playing on Thanksgiving because I like doing the holiday stuff. But again, we will be playing on New Year's Eve, New Year's Eve evening, which would be cool. And then NFL Christmas schedule. We have the Packers, Bears, Bills, Broncos, and Rams, Seahawks for the triple header there. So, we'll see how that goes. The Ravens also have an international game week 3 against the Cowboys. They're going to Rio. The Steelers are going to Paris to face New Orleans, which would have been a good game for us to go to, but we are hosting the Saints in Baltimore week 2 for our home opener, which is a weird thing also because we have a 1 o'clock game and the Orioles have a rare 7 o'clock Sunday night game. So how are they share the same parking lot. So how are we going to switch out the fans from the Ravens game at 4:30 and have the Orioles fans coming in about 5:30? And there's Pepper's appearance. So that was a weird kink in the schedule. The Ravens are playing the Bills in Buffalo. And we thought, okay, it'd be a national game, be a Monday night game, Sunday night game, something like that, or a holiday game. Nope. It is a generic 1 o'clock game on November 1st, the day after Halloween. So that was a weird one as well. By going to the schedules from last year, the Ravens' first 6 games of their season are against teams that have combined losing records and did not appear in the playoffs. And then we have a mid-season where middle of the season where we play some tough games. We have a late bye again, second year in a row. We have it December 1st or 3rd or 12th or something like that. That week, whatever that weekend is. It's in between Thanksgiving weekend and my daughter's birthday, which is the 12th. So it's that window in between there is when they have their bye. But that's a good thing because maybe they'll get the team rested for the playoff run because their last 4 games of the season, they're taking on divisional players, 2 home games and 2 away games back to back to back to back, including 2 games against the Steelers. So it's a weird schedule, but the Ravens have the opportunity to start off hot. And if they can continue going, they could have a pretty decent season. They have a pretty easy schedule this year. The Washington Commanders, which is my other team, they have a very tough schedule this year, including a span where they're playing 3 straight like playoff caliber teams. And they also have a period where they have 3 national games. They're playing all 3 of them within a 4-week span. So kind of weird. So nothing really else exciting about the NFL schedule, but it was fun to see. So now speculation can go on. Death this week, Clarence Carter, blind soul legend, died at the age of 90. All right, first full page. So I was telling you about, they are going to be doing a bunch of video game movies in 2027. One of them is Sonic 4. Sonic 4 has finished production and is set for a March 19th, 2027 debut. The end of production was announced via the director next to Metal Sonic, which proves that Metal Sonic will be in the new movie. Aaron Eckhart is set to star in The Walk-In. Ahsoka Season 2 has been moved to early 2027 and thought that she might be able to come out by the end of the year, but has now been moved to early 2027. Tim Roth and Timothy Spall will be starring in Murdering Michael Malloy. Doc Ray Montgomery from Stranger Things is set to join the John Wick spinoff Kane. Jonathan Majors to star in political thriller Dinner at Nick's. The Servant has a Servant new film, has a really good cast, and Coleman Domingo, Nicholas Hoult, Noah Jupe, and Emma Corrin. It's a psychological thriller, I believe. Peter Jackson is in talks to license more Tolkien stuff, so we might see more Lord of the Rings or other stuff from Peter Jackson. The live-action How to Train Your Dragons 2 has finished production as well. Krispy Kreme has brand new orange cream donuts that are out, I think, just this week only. And my little Pop-Ums, last year they're supposed to have orange cream ones. Never saw them anywhere. They're now out now, and I got my first batch. I'll try them tomorrow. Jodie Comer is set to headline the HBO limited series The Chain from Damon Lindelof. BritBox is set to air the series Chocolate Wars, based on a real story, based on how Cadbury took over the chocolate industry in England. So that'll be interesting. I think there's a Hershey movie coming out also soon. The first of 2 Kate Beckinsale stories. Kate Beckinsale is set to star in Twilight of the Dead, which is the final chapter in George Romero's zombie storyline. She will also be starring with Catherine McNamara in White, which is a shark thriller sounding a lot like Deep Sea, about an airplane that crashes in an area which is known for a feeding area for great whites and great white sharks, and they have to survive. But it's Kate Beckinsale, and if she's in the ocean, she might have to wear like bikini stuff, so that'll be nice. Mask of the Red Death, the adaptation, has finished filming that. It's Micah Monroe's follow-up to her Oscar-winning Anora. The Pittsburgh Zoo and the New England Zoo traded gorillas as kind of a joke to set up the draft being in Pittsburgh. They did this, but they were actually set up to do it anyway. It wasn't like they were going to do this just for the draft stuff that Pittsburgh was doing, but it was kind of fun. They treated it like it was a draft. 1989 by Taylor Swift has been added to the National Recording Registry for preservation. Only the best recording artists get that thing. So, if you're not a big fan of Taylor, sorry, she's a pretty big deal, and a lot of people like her a lot, and she's enough that she gets a national recovery registry. So, recording registry, excuse me. So that's pretty cool. Kaneko Shizuki wants to reboot Gamera, which would be a great idea with Godzilla being so successful now. Gamera, it's time for Giant Turtle Man to come back and do some stuff. The Simpsons get an art exhibit in California at the Hilbert Museum. Thought it said Hibbert, Dr. Hibbert there, but it's Hilbert. Actually found a guy on Reels who has a massive Simpsons collection. It's kind of neat to see that sort of stuff. Chris Rock, who you haven't really heard from in a while, is set to join Paul Rudd to voice characters in a live-action animated film called Goodnight Lammy. The Librarians, the next chapter, season 2, is set to debut August 2nd with Dominic Monaghan from Lord of the Rings and Lost joining the cast. M. Night Shyamalan's new romantic supernatural thriller, I forget the name of it right now, set to come out in February, is already getting its highest testing film ever. They're in testing phases right now, and it's getting the highest ratings, even more so than Sixth Sense and Signs and all those other big hits. So look for it to be a big hit. Is a supernatural romance coming out in February, so it's a decent idea. So congratulations on that. We got our first new trailer for Office Romance. That's the Brett Goldstein, Jennifer Lopez rom-com set to debut on Netflix June 5th. Actually looks pretty decent, so we'll see. Norway is still in the movie business. They have made a monster movie thriller called Kraken, when that's set to debut in June. We got our first look at that. And Will Smith, we haven't heard from in a while either, has signed on for Supermax, an Amazon film where he plays an FBI agent who has to investigate the murder in a Supermax prison. So that's interesting. Anniversaries, the worst Star Wars movie of all time, Star Wars Attack of the... Well, actually, I couldn't say that. I think The Rise of Skywalker might be up there, too. But Star Wars Attack of the Clones debuted 24 years ago this week. Arnold's Conan the Barbarian debuted 44 years ago this week. Lethal Weapon 3 debuted 34 years ago this week. Mad Max Fury Road debuted 11 years ago this week. Some deaths we had this week. Dennis Rush and Andy Griffith, show actor, passed away. Claudine Longet, who I heard mentioned in Northern Exposure before, she is a actress and singer. She passed away as well this week. And Yuji Ono, a legendary jazz musician and anime icon, passed away this week as well. Wakana Yamazawa, voice of Detective Conan's Ran, and also did voices for One Piece. She passed away as well this week. This one's going to be a quick one. I can feel it. Shrinkflation in action. These used to be much bigger. They lowered the size and kept the same price. And now they don't even have any more at the grocery store today. So kind of pissed. All right. Today's episode was named Espresso Keg. That's because Nescafe is debuting an Espresso Keg. So if you really need to get your energy up, you can drink some of their Espresso Keg. We talked about the Kate Beckinsale. Oh, man. Movie White, well, about sharks. Well, here's another shark one with another hottie. We get our first look at Chum, a trailer starring April Eve. Oh, another good one. Which is a destination wedding goes bad in Bali, where the wedding party is in a boat and it like sinks or something in the middle of shark-infested water. And then a psychopathic boat person brings them all on board and like ends up trying to feed them to the sharks, something like that. So there we go. It's never too early to talk about Christmas. Brand new children's book called How the Grinch Stole Christmas, according to Max. Max the dog. There is a new How the Grinch book coming out this Christmas, telling the story from the perspective of Max. So that should be interesting, I guess. Speaking of dogs that know stuff, when I was, I guess, in high school, early college, after school, I would watch on PBS Wishbone, which was a show for children, but it was intriguing to me because it was a Jack Russell Terrier who was every episode did scenes from a classic of literature that was set that had something to do with the storyline that took place in present day with Wishbone and his owners and friends and stuff like that. So he got to dress up in all kinds of costumes, did Shakespeare. It was wild stuff. They have a documentary about the making of Wishbone, which could be really interesting to watch, and that'd be really cool. Lauren Lavara from those, what are those clown movies with the dude with the axe? All white face, whatever. Is set to star in Man or Bear, a survival thriller, which kind of takes that, would you feel safer with a man or a bear, to new heights as a hiker has to deal with a psychopathic male hiker, but also with a relentless bear pursuing her. So that should be interesting. After Disney Plus bobbled the Doctor Who stuff, nothing against the new Doctor. I loved his stuff. I loved that they just boggled the whole Doctor Who stuff and fucked it all up. And again, not because of Ncuti Gatwa. He was great, and I wanted to see more of his Doctor. But they just really fucked it up, and now they've gotten rid of it. AMC Plus has picked up all the Doctors except for Ncuti, since that's still owned by Disney. So of the modern era, so you can now finally rewatch all of the modern era Doctor Who's, and there's potential that because they have the rights to these now, that when the new stuff gets made by BBC starting next Christmas, we should be able to see it on AMC as well. We'll see. Margot's Got Money gets a second season. America turns 250 years old in July, and because of who we have in office, it's going to be a shitty affair. It already has been, the plans they already set are absolutely unfathomably awful and terrible, and in no way an exciting way to celebrate America's 250th anniversary. I wish we had somebody else in office who would really make it about the history and stuff like that, but alas, we have a shitty pedophile in office who's going to fuck it all up. So despite that, everyone is still trying to push the whole America July 4th Memorial Day stuff. So Mountain Dew is creating an American pack. It's an 18-pack of Mountain Dew, which includes 6 Code Reds, 6 Voltage, which is in blue, and 6 Whiteout. Now available at Walmart, but you'll be able to get them everywhere eventually. So that should be pretty interesting. Also, as I said earlier, not too early to talk about Christmas. Here's Christmas again. We got our first look at Arnold Schwarzenegger as Santa Claus. He will be playing Santa Claus in the Amazon Prime film, The Man with the Bag, set to debut December 2nd on Prime. I think it's about how Santa's bag gets stolen and he has to hire a criminal to help him get it back, something like that. The creator of K-pop Demon Hunters is doing a short film, I think, for Shark Week and Discovery called K-pop Shark Heroes. So I don't know what that's all about, so stay tuned for that. I talked about how Pepsi is doing stuff overseas and not in America. Well, in UK, Pepsi UK is debuting 3 ice cream, no sugar flavors, including raspberry ripple, salted caramel, and cherry vanilla, no sugar Pepsi products. So none really stand out to me that much. Get a new trailer for the Backrooms, which is looking more and more creepy, but looking very, very good also. My son wants to see it still, and we will go see it in 2 weeks when it comes out. You are very photogenic, but you are in my way. I need to get in here. Ow, ow. That was unintentional, I know. You're going to do your booty shot again? No, it's empty. The Legend of Zelda live action film has finished production and is set to drop now on April 30th, 2027. So again, as I said, you've got Sonic 4, you've got Legend of Zelda live action film, you've got the Minecraft sequel coming out as well. I think there's another one I'm missing in there too, but those are all video game movies that are coming out next year. But yes, Legend of Zelda is moved up to April 30th, 2027. Kind of intriguing. I think I'm going to go see that. Now he's spinning around on his tail like he did last week. We finally get news about Vision Quest, the third part of the WandaVision and Agatha all the time, I guess. I forget the Agatha story. The third part in that trilogy is set to debut on October 14th on Disney Plus, so that's good. We'll be able to see that. Big Mistakes. Eugene Levy's son's, Dan Levy's new show gets a second season. Running Paint, the basketball show with Kate Hudson, gets a third season. The Baywatch reboot, which was set to come out later this year, has now been moved to January 2027. So we have to wait a little longer than that. But we also learned that A Different World reboot on Netflix is set to debut sometime this fall as well. So that's pretty good. The Lincoln Lawyer is set to call it quits after season 5. They are just releasing season 4, so they're going to have one more season to wrap everything up. I love Florence Pugh, and she really hasn't done much. She's going to explode in December with both Dune 3 and Avengers Doomsday. But she's been busy working on a limited series for Netflix based on the John Steinbeck novel East of Eden. We finally get our first look at it. It's going to be an 8-part limited series on Netflix starring Florence Pugh, and looks interesting. I don't remember ever reading East of Eden, so I'm going to see it anyway because I love me some Florence Pugh. We also got our first look at the trailer for Stuart Fails to Save the Universe, the spinoff of Big Bang Theory, which basically is going to be on HBO, and it has the crazy premise of Stuart, who is the comic book guy who runs a comic book store, his girlfriend, and a couple of the ancillary minor characters in Big Bang Theory who aren't part of the main cast are somehow leaping through alternate realities, sort of like a slider sort of thing, and have to try to get back to their universe sort of thing. Looks okay. The Hawk new trailer, which is the Will Ferrell golf show. We got to look at that. Weird Al's Dare to Be Stupid is set to get a Broadway musical. Halsey is set to star in Repulsor, a psychosexual film she'll be co-writing. Windless is a video game said to be in the vein of God of War and Dynasty Warrior, but the main character is a chicken warrior, a 2-legged chicken warrior. Looks intriguing, to be honest. Buffalo wings flavored ruffled potato chips are coming soon. Kool-Aid hydration packets are coming, so they're going to get into sort of the Gatorade game as well now. 2020 has finished filming. Don't know much about that. And Wildwood trailer from the Leica Animated Studio is set to debut October 23rd. We get our first trailer for that. It's about a boy who gets lost in the woods and the sister who has to go save him, though the woods are crawling with all kinds of evil. Anniversaries. Poltergeist debuted 45 years ago this week. Return of Swamp Thing debuted 37 years ago this week. The Crow debuted 32 years ago this week. And Troy debuted 22 years ago this week. Deaths, David Allen Lee, punter for the Baltimore Colts, passed away this week. And I think that's it. Moving right along. I got 2.5 more pages to go. So, yeah, this is going to be a short one. So upfronts have pretty much come and gone now, even though no one's really watching network television anymore because of streaming. But there are still some intriguing shows making their way downtown. First up, Sunset PI from the creators of Brooklyn Nine-Nine is getting a series pickup, as is the new Rockford Files with David Boreanaz is also getting a pickup for series. So that's good. Let's see if I can... RJ Decker and The Rookie North have also been picked up for series as well. Conan O'Brien is set to return as the host of the Oscars for his third straight year. The Oscars are set for March 14th, 2027, where Tom Cruise will win his first Oscar for Best Actor, mark my words. So we have Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise is supposedly interested in Paramount's Doppelganger, where he will be playing multiple roles. So we'll see if that actually happens. A Quiet Place 3 has started filming. John Krasinski comes back to write and direct the third part of his Quiet Place saga, and he brings back his wife, Emily Blunt, and Cillian Murphy, who appeared in the second one as well. Aaron Paul from Breaking Bad is set to join the cast of Fallout Season 3, which starts filming really soon. Last week, we told you the cast members for the new sex crime show based on the comic book that Amazon is doing. Well, we got more good news about it. Nia DaCosta has been set to direct multiple episodes of the show, so that actually makes it even better for me. Katsuhiro Otono, who created Akira and hasn't done anything for about 12 years now, is set to be working on a new anime with his company. Details to be released down the road. The Human Vapor trailer. This actually looks kind of interesting. It's a Netflix series from Japan, set to debut July 2nd. It's about a man that turns into vapor. Looks like kind of a superhero, sort of Japanese sort of superhero short film, which is kind of going to be crazy and wild. Speaking of that, in a couple weeks, we get our first look at Spider Noir, which also looks absolutely insane. Can't wait for that. Matt Bomer has joined the cast of The Day of the Jackal Season 2. Sarah Gilbert is set to join the cast of the live-action Scooby-Doo series. Betty Gilpin, Alec Baldwin, David Costable have joined Oscar Isaac in The Roman, the Netflix Vegas show we talked about last week that Martin Scorsese is executive producing. Reacher gets a 5th season. Finding Emily trailer sets to debut August 28th. Not Gonna Lie with Kylie Kelsey wins the Webby for Best Podcast. Sonequa Walls is set to join the cast of Man of Tomorrow, the Superman sequel, which is currently filming right now. Barbara Palvin is pregnant with her and husband Dylan Sprouts' first child. Sebastian Stan and his partner Annabelle Wallace are also expecting a baby also. McKenna Grace, Paul Walter Hauser, and Louis Partridge are set to star in rom-com The Official Mistress, which is going to be a period piece rom-com, so that should be an interesting take on things. Bong Joon-ho, who directed Parasite and won Oscars for Best Director and Best Picture, his next film is an anime, and his newest film is an animated film, and called Ali. And he's released the voice cast, includes Ayo Edebari, Dave Bautista, Bradley Cooper, Finn Wolfhard, Alex Jung Ho, Rachel House, and Werner Herzog. That's interesting. The Henry Cavill live-action Voltron movie, which is set to debut next year, will no longer be going to movie theaters. It will be debuting directly on Prime. I guess they don't really have much faith in it, but oh well, we'll see what happens. Ben Kingsley, Max Minghella, and Pekar Strag are set to join the cast of White Lotus Season 4. Ride or Die, we got our first look at that with Hannah Waddingham, set to hit Prime on July 15th. You'll be hearing Hannah Waddingham's voice again. She's starting to get more into stuff after her Ted Lasso stuff. The One Before the One, a rom-com set in the 90s, has cast Charles Gillespie, Sarah Wise-Glio, and Spira Agabora. Red Bull's Winter Edition 2026. Again, can't talk too early about winter stuff. Is set to be Japanese citrus tangerine. Pepsi Big Zero Americana Berry Vanilla Cola is in Japan only. Pepsi Big Zero Americana Berry Vanilla Cola is now only available in Japan. I just love the name because it's so Japanese. eBay has refused the $55.5 billion offer that GameStop was making to own the company. So good on them for that. I don't have any anniversaries on this page, really. Okay, we have deaths, though. Rex Reed, controversial movie critic, passed away this week. Jennifer Harmon, a soap actress, died at the age of 82 this week. Donald Gibb, who played Ogre in the Revenge of the Nerds films, passed away this week. And Jason Collins, the first openly gay basketball player, died at the age of 47 this week. And Charlie Young, a 49-year-old basketball player, also passed away this week, too. I've been slowly getting back into comics. I'm still not fully on board with comic books yet. But there's more and more interesting things coming out now. And the next big thing is stuff that'll be coming late summer and early fall, which might be interesting. Now, the Absolute world in DC is absolutely killing it in sales. Absolute Batman, Absolute Superman, Absolute Wonder Woman, Absolute Flash, Absolute Martian Manhunter, Absolute Green Lantern are all doing good. Absolute Green Arrow comes out in 2 weeks, which looks phenomenal. Where Green Arrow is a serial killer, which is going to be cool shit. I'm going to pick that up when that comes out. And there's other, I think Absolute Catwoman's getting her own mini series as well. And there's all kinds of other stuff. So Absolute is absolutely killing it in the comic book store. So Marvel decided they wanted to try something similar. So they're creating the Midnight line. Starts off with 3 series. First is X-Men Midnight, set to debut August 2026, which the Midnight line is horror versions of popular comic book characters. So X-Men Midnight is about Storm, who's a vampire, taking on Nightcrawler, who works for the church to try to stop vampires. And they are fighting against each other. And meanwhile, mutants and other people are getting involved in their war. So it could be very interesting. Coming in September 2026 is Fantastic Four Midnight, which has, after their rocket hits them with the radiation powers, they land on Earth and they get their powers and everything's great and wonderful. Well, what if the radiation caused them to have mutations, even worse mutations? The Thing looks like you can see his flesh and brick coming off. You can see the Invisible Woman's brain in her head because of the invisibility and just all kinds of body horror sort of stuff in there. So that could be interesting. And then finally, in October of 2026, we get Spider-Man Midnight, which basically is a rehash of what if Spider-Man turned into an actual half spider, half human, and have the horror aspect to that. So we'll see how that goes. But they look good. They've got interesting creative teams on it, including Jonathan Hickman will be writing X-Men Midnight. He was the one that was key in the X-Men Renaissance in the 2020s with the whole turning the island they're on into a way that, if mutants get killed, they can come back to life sort of thing. He's going to be taking over X-Men Midnight. So I don't remember the writers of the other stuff, but they are people who have written other comics and are current writers, and not just some people they've thrown off the street. So that could be interesting. Now, Crystal Lake, which is the Friday the 13th prequel that A24 is doing, it's going to be on Peacock, I believe. Was on Peacock, I think. Was originally set to premiere in the end of the year, winter or whatever, but they've changed that up, and I'm glad they changed it because they moved it to October 15th. So we get a horror prequel during spooky season. So that's awesome. That's another one I didn't do. Meanwhile, Ryan Coogler's X-Files gets an update here. A number of actors have signed on for guest starring roles, including Amy Madigan, Steve Buscemi, Ben Foster, Dewey Jacobs, Lachlan Monroe, Tanto Cardinal, Joel D. Montgomery, and Sophia Green Clinton are set to guest star in Ryan Coogler's X-Files. The Flesh of the Gods, a vampire film starring Wagner Moura and Kristen Stewart, has started filming as well. Connor Story is joining the cast of Please with Gracie Abrams and Tom Busker. The story of Agatha Christie's mysterious 11-day disappearance is said to become a movie. I really don't know much about that until Doctor Who did something about that. Apparently, Agatha Christie, at the height of her popularity, disappeared for 11 days. Nobody knows what happened to her, where she went, if she was kidnapped, or if she did it for volition. There are theories, and apparently this show is going to be what actually happened with that. The spinoff of The Office, called The Paper, is set to return for season 2 in September. Finn Wolfhard is set to star in a drug film from Neon. They don't have a title yet. Little House on the Prairie trailer debuted this week. It's set to debut July 9th on Netflix, and it actually looks a little bit better. You know, the original Little House on the Prairie was very much about family values and religion and stuff like that, and like that, but it looked like it was shot in someone's backyard. This new version looks like a historical epic about westward expansion, which just throws the Little House on the Prairie name to it. The cinematography in the trailer looks phenomenal. It doesn't look like it's going to have the goofy sort of Little House on the Prairie sort of vibes that you expect. It looks like it's going to be very much about the expansion of the West and what happens to the people who are living out there, and all the stuff they have to go through. Native Americans show up, actual ones, and there's just some really good conflict. It looks really, really good, and it's intriguing enough for me to go, maybe, just maybe, I will check it out. A new wasp species has been named after David Attenborough for his 100th birthday. 5.6 million bees were discovered living underneath a New York cemetery. That's intriguing. And the bees that our horrific First Lady introduced to the White House somehow escaped their hive and have now been attacking staffers on the land and flying around in swarms on the White House property. So, yeah, that's just wonderful. Westworld, Michael Crichton's one of his early novels that's been turned into a movie and a TV show on HBO, is set to get another adaptation, this time from David Cope. Don't know if it's going to be a TV show or a movie. Probably a movie, because David Cope was the one who wrote Jurassic Park, the adaptation of Jurassic Park, and some other stuff as well. Couldn't really care less. They've already done it to death, so why not? DC's animated film stuff has been pretty decent for years now, as they keep adapting popular storylines. Well, the next big storyline they will be adapting has now been turned into a trilogy of animated films. We'll be getting the Batman Nightfall trilogy, discovering everything from how Nightfall began with Batman being worked to the bone with exhaustion as all the criminals escape from Arkham Asylum. And when he gets to be at his weakest point, Bane comes in and breaks his back, and so he is now paralyzed, and he gives the reins over to Azrael Batman, who turns into a vicious killing machine and starts getting delusions of grandeur. So the Bat Crew has to keep him in check. And then the third movie will be Batman finally decides that he's had enough. He needs to take back his city from Azrael Batman, undergoes some crazy scientific sort of stuff to get him to walk again, and takes on Azrael Batman, and then takes on Bane again to prove that he's fine. Trilogy of films, all about an hour and a half long, about 5.5 hours worth of stuff. Sure, it'll work. I think it'll work okay. I forget his name. Oh, well, it doesn't matter. Michael B. Jordan, that's right. Michael B. Jordan has come up with his executive producing an adaptation of the Fourth Wing series of books. Amazon has okayed the pilot to go to series, so we'll be getting a Fourth Wing series on Prime. Oh yeah, Peacock will be launching 4 shows in the Fast and the Furious universe. I think 4 shows is way too much to be in the Fast and the Furious universe, but okay. Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power, 3rd season is set to debut on November 11th on Prime. Prime had their Prime week this week, so all the stuff upcoming is all Prime stuff because they announced all this at their Prime Day. Brett Goldstein of Ted Lasso fame and the psychiatrist one with Harrison Ford, which I can't think of right now, and then the Office romance rom-com. Well, he's written another show called Escorts, and it got picked up by Prime. It's an 8-part series. Rose Hill romance saga gets a series pickup from Prime. It was a set of romance novels, about 5 or 6 books in the series, and they'll be adapting all the books into this TV series. Trailer for The Rivals of Amzia King with Matthew McConaughey debuted this week. We also got our 72-hour trailer with Kevin Hart in a bachelor party movie set to debut July 24th, I believe also on Prime. Popeye the Slayer Man 2 is coming. That is not Prime related. FKA Twigs, I never heard of her, but she's a singer, is set to portray Josephine Baker in a biopic getting ready to get made here. I talked about how much I like Florence Pugh and how she is doing the East of Eden show, which is set to debut later this fall, I believe. And then she's going to have Doomsday and Dune 3. Well, she's got her next project, which is really, really good because I know I have this book somewhere. I think it's down here. I think it's in the back here. I might check after the show. Called The Night Library, which is a huge hit. She will be producing and starring in an adaptation of the book. It's just starting, and she's got to finish all the stuff up, so she'll probably start working on it next year or later this year, possibly for a 2027 release. The Teller is a movie that casts Stephanie Sue, Guy Pearce, and Hannah Waddingham again. It was a San Francisco set crime thriller. One Piece and McCormick have teamed up for One Piece Spices. Anniversary Sleeper debuted 30 years ago this week. Before we get there, Chris Pine is confirmed to return in Princess Diaries 3. Now, when I first saw Princess Diaries 2, I did not like his character at all, but it was the first movie he ever did. But he has now grown on me a little bit. I think I need to revisit Princess Diaries 2. They did have good chemistry, and they both look great now. So to have him and Anne Hathaway playing the Queen and King of Genovia, and from what the director said, it's going to focus more on her being a competent queen and not being sort of this goofy, awkward teen anymore. She's now a queen, and she's going to probably deal with her kid stuff. I think that's a good idea, and we'll find out more. I'm excited for that. I think that's Anne's one of her next projects. She's also got that Trad Wife movie coming out also that she's producing. So got that coming up. Craig Morton died. He is a Broncos Super Bowl. Yeah, Broncos Super Bowl playing QB. Didn't win, but he was there. Anniversary Road Trip debuted 26 years ago this week. Deaths, Rene Cardinha, a first Spanish-speaking Major League Baseball announcer. Rick Kruger, former MLB player, passed away this week as well. And Brandon Clark, a present forward for the Memphis Grizzlies, passed away at the age of 29. Sorry, that was a little bit awkward and out of order, but that's just the way it worked out. All right, down to my final set here. That'll be my last one, I think. Coors Light beer, cheese, Cheez-Its are coming. My wife is like, couldn't they have picked a better beer for beer cheese flavor? Guess not. A Doctor Who Dalek giveaway with breakfast cereal is now worth $70,000. Olipop, which is a probiotic soda, which I hate. I tried it. It's disgusting. Apparently there are a lot of people that like it. They've created flavored lip balm. This is totally expected, but when Michael the biopic about Michael Jackson made as much money and is still making money. It overtook Devil Wears Prada 2 for number 1 this week, since there was no big release this week. A sequel has been greenlit with Antoine Fuqua redirecting, but it was always planned to be a multiple movies, because the first one ends, from what I've heard, at the beginning of the Bad, making of the Bad album. And after that, that's when everything went downhill for poor Michael and all his pedophile accusers and his medical condition, all that stuff. So I'm assuming is the director is going to be Antoine Fuqua is going to be working on that and telling that part of the storyline as well. So I'm not unexpected, but it is coming. Oh, another World trailer. It's an animated film set to debut June 5th. Looked like an anime to me. Dan Stevens is set to return to the Monsterverse in Godzilla Kong Supernova. He was in the second Godzilla Kong film that came out a couple years ago. Excuse me. Before we get to the last story of the week, some deaths. Stanis Lauren Solinsky, dubbing professional, died at the age of 79. Sherman Lewis, won 4 Super Bowls as an assistant coach, passed away this week as well. And Michael Pennington, who played Moff Jar Jar in Return of the Jedi, passed away this week. He was also a Shakespearean actor and was in other movies besides Return of the Jedi. Big anniversary. Twister debuted 30 years ago this week. So that's pretty cool. So our final story of the week. Utigville, Alaska, formerly known as Barrow, Alaska, which is the northernmost town in the country, has just seen the sun for the first time in 84 days. This is the basis of the 30 Days of Night story. This town actually has months of darkness, and now they have months of sunlight because the sun rose this week over Utkiville and will not set until August 2nd. May 17th, June 17th. Actually, May 17th is today. It's Saturday, it's Sunday now. It's tomorrow. May 7th. It's my friend Craig's birthday. Happy birthday, Craig. May 17th to June 17th. June 17th to July 17th. So 2 months and 14, 15, 16 days. 2 months and 16 days. 30 and 31. Well, actually, it was the 16th now, 17th now. So 14 this week, this month. 30, 44 for June. 31 for July is 75. And then 2 days, 77 days of sun after 84 days of dark. And even the sun in August, when it sets, is only going to set for like an hour or two and then come back up. So it's not like it's going to be down for like 8 hours, 10 hours like it is here. So Utkiville, formerly Barrow, Alaska, finally has the sun back and the vampires have been vanquished. All right, that's it for episode 660. Another short one just because I've got this down to a science and there's really not a lot of stuff I wanted to talk about this week. I'm going to try to drag this out for another minute or so. Next week, I finish my project. We get Mandalorian and Grogu. Comes out on Friday. My daughter's 1 year anniversary with her boyfriend is on Friday as well. My daughter will be going on a mini vacation with her friends to the Jersey Shore starting next weekend. And next weekend is Memorial Day weekend. I have a 3-day weekend coming up. I cannot wait. Should be a lot of fun. We should be able to see, I should be able to get a few more when we have these, as I said earlier in the show, when we have 3-day weekends, I tend to like to do some of my other shows. So look for a list show or two to pop up during Memorial Day weekend. And maybe I will dig out the grill. I haven't grilled in over a year now. So we'll see what happens. Because I didn't grill this past summer. And we'll see what happens with the weather. I mean, it's going to be shitty through Wednesday, it looks like, but then it's going to get back to where it should be. All right, one final look at anything we got. We hit the 1 hour note. All right. Just checking. Nope. I do not see anything of interest. All righty. Time to shut the shit down. Now I know it's going to happen. I'm going to shut down. I'm going to go upstairs and I'm going to look at stuff, and something big is going to come across the wire here. All right, that's it. Oh, wait a second. Good. All right. I got nothing else left. I'm done. Be safe. Have fun. See you next week for Memorial Day weekend.